Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Chapter 1 of a 6-part story. Chapter 1. The Ballerina's Lovers, a love triangle. In the dazzling world of ballet, Eloise was an incandescent star. Her jet black hair whirled like a dark tempest as she commanded the stage, her taut body language communicating narratives that entranced all who watched. She had an undeniable allure, a magnetic charm that extended beyond the stage and into her personal life. At the peak of her career, Eloise attracted the attentions of two men who were as different as they were alike. Alfred, a debonair man with a disciplined demeanour who possessed a stiff upper lip yet harboured a seething intensity beneath the surface. Then there was Peter, with his boyish charm, ever irrepressible spirit, and an unpredictable streak that made him irresistible. Alfred and Peter were inseparable, bound by a shared love for cricket and their mutual admiration for Eloise. They found themselves drawn to her in different ways. Alfred admired her discipline, her elegant form and control. For him, Eloise was like a well-composed symphony, each move harmonized with the music, telling a story that echoed in his soul. He felt an electric charge every time their eyes met, a silent promise of a dance that wasn't restricted to the stage. Peter, on the other hand, was drawn to her fiery spirit. He saw in her a reflection of his wild heart, her unrestrained passion matching his. He admired her fluidity, her ability to make every dance seem like an act of rebellion. She was the spark that ignited his blood, a forbidden waltz that teased and tantalized him. Their shared rehearsals became a battleground of smouldering looks and unsaid words. Eloise was the sun, and they the planets, gravitating towards her fiery brilliance. The tension grew thicker with each passing day, an exquisite agony that was almost as unbearable as it was thrilling. In this frenzied atmosphere, Eloise felt torn between her equally intoxicating but radically different admirers. Each man offered a different dance, a different promise. With Alfred, she envisaged a dance of discipline, a relationship grounded in mutual respect and admiration. With Peter, it was a promise of unbound passion, an unscripted dance that moved to its rhythm. Eventually she chose Alfred. A public declaration of their love during a curtain call sparked a frenzy, leaving Peter heartbroken and alone. The once tight-knit triangle had broken, the remaining connections fraught with unspoken sentiments and veiled rivalries. Thus began a passionate saga, a dance of love and jealousy under the relentless spotlight. Even as Eloise continued her rise to stardom, the chords of this intricate love triangle continued to play in the background, a haunting melody that would change their lives forever. As they danced their separate ballets, their fates remained entwined, hinting at the turbulence that lay ahead in their choreographed world. This is chapter 1 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is chapter 2, Love and Loss, Rebirth of a Fallen Ballerina. Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Chapter 2 of a 6-part story. Chapter 2, Love and Loss, Rebirth of a Fallen Ballerina. Despite the enchanting glow of success, life has a knack for changing the choreography of our best laid plans. For Eloise, life's unexpected pirouette arrived in the form of a cruel injury, a fall during rehearsal that shattered her ankle and, by extension, her career. As her dancing days became confined to the shadows of her past, Eloise found herself teetering on the precipice of despair. The spotlight that once defined her now seemed like a distant dream. Yet in the midst of this despair, she discovered a silver lining in Alfred's unwavering support. His love wrapped around her like a warm shawl, cushioning her fall from grace. Her heart ached for the stage, for the rhythmic sway of her body to the symphony of violins. But she knew her days of pirouettes were over. But was her love for ballet? Eloise, through introspection and love, found an alternative way to indulge her passion for the arts. Coaching. The idea struck her like a bolt of lightning. If she could no longer command the stage, she could shape the ones who did. She would pour her soul, her passion and her expertise into training her beloved Alfred. Thus began a rigorous journey of transformation. Alfred, whose cricketing form and timing were impressive, required a complete makeover to dance ballet. He was a diamond in the rough, needing the guidance and perseverance of his precious Eloise. The intimate sessions of practice and learning acted as a catalyst, fanning the embers of their passion. As Eloise guided Alfred through the intricate footwork, their bodies brushing and swaying in the rhythm of ballet, a new form of tension emerged. It was no longer just the anticipation of a performance, it was an erotic undercurrent of love and longing. Every glance, every touch was charged with a potent mix of professionalism and sensuality. Alfred's transformation was arduous but gratifying. He soon matched Eloise's grace and precision, his rigid cricketer's form slowly becoming fluid like a seasoned ballerina. Their shared triumphs in these intimate sessions led to passionate nights, the remnants of their day's labour adding a raw eroticism to their love. Despite their shared success, the absence of Peter, a spectre of their past, loomed in the shadows. They avoided speaking about him, yet the unspoken acknowledgement of his loss added a tinge of melancholy to their happiness. As Alfred flourished under Eloise's coaching and their love deepened, they were constantly reminded of what, or rather who, they had lost. This was a turning point in their lives, a saga of transformation, passion, love and loss. The story of a fallen ballerina who rose again as a coach and a cricket player who morphed into a ballet dancer was just beginning. This is chapter 2 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is chapter 3. Ex-lover emerges, stirring up old wounds. Challengers. Is this the real-life story that the movie is based on? Challengers. Is this the real-life story that the movie is based on? Chapter 3 of a 6-part story. Chapter 3. Ex-lover emerges, stirring up old wounds. They say past is a ghost that never quite fades away, a spectre that lurks in the shadows, waiting for an opportune moment to strike. For Eloise and Alfred, this ghost took the form of Peter, their long-lost friend, and Eloise's former suitor. After years of absence, Peter resurfaced, no longer the charismatic young man, but a hardened version of his former self. The boyish charm was replaced by a raw, almost rugged masculinity, the freewheeling spirit now tempered by the passage of time. Peter's return was like a gust of wind, stirring up dust and long-settled emotions. The trio's shared history was complicated, to say the least. Peter's affection for Eloise was not a secret, nor was the heartbreak he suffered when she chose Alfred over him. The atmosphere in the ballet studio was thick with tension as Peter and Eloise locked eyes for the first time after years. It was a strange dance of emotions, old wounds resurfacing, unspoken words echoing in the silence. The sensation was a heady mix of discomfort, nostalgia, and an undeniable sexual tension. Peter's gaze lingered on Eloise longer than necessary, while she found herself helplessly drawn to the man he had become. Alfred, the ever-observant, caught onto this subtle exchange. A pang of jealousy surged through him, a feeling he had never experienced with such intensity. While Peter's return added an element of unease to Eloise and Alfred's relationship, it also brought forth a profound sense of familiarity. His presence was a living reminder of the times they had spent together, the shared laughter, stolen glances, and unspoken feelings. Eloise found herself torn between her love for Alfred and the palpable chemistry she shared with Peter. She was conflicted, torn between her loyalty to Alfred and her undeniable attraction towards Peter. This emotional turmoil made their ballet studio resemble more of a battlefield, a battleground of hearts and unspoken sentiments. Peter, the long-lost friend and ex-lover, has returned, disrupting the harmony between Eloise and Alfred. Old wounds are resurfacing, emotions are running high, and an unexpected romantic triangle is on the horizon. Only time will tell what happens next in this dramatic ballet saga. This is chapter 3 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is chapter 4, Open Auditions, Closed Hearts, Ballet Showdown. Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Chapter 4 of a 6-part story. Chapter 4, Open Auditions, Closed Hearts, Ballet Showdown. Beneath the spotlight, the stakes were always high, but now the ballet studio seemed to morph into an arena, an open battlefield where old friendships and newfound rivalries would collide. It was time for the auditions for the principal dancer in the upcoming ballet showcase. Alfred, under Eloise's meticulous training, was no longer just a cricketer playing ballet. He was a full-fledged ballerino, moving with an eloquence that could only come from passion and hard work. But he wasn't the only one ready to claim the spotlight. Peter, his old friend and new rival, was equally set on proving his mettle. On the day of the audition, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation and undercurrents of rivalry. As Alfred danced, Eloise watched from the wings, her heart throbbing with both admiration and fear. Each pirouette was executed with precision, every leap showcasing the strength and grace that she had helped him cultivate. But then it was Peter's turn. With a dancer's fluidity etched into his every move, he commanded the stage like he was born for it. As Eloise watched him, she couldn't ignore the raw magnetism of his performance, the way he commanded the room and filled it with an electric energy. Her heart ached with conflicting emotions. Here were the two men she cared for the most, their rivalry dancing across the stage in a balletic showdown. Alfred, the man she loved and coached, and Peter, the man whose return had stirred up old emotions and awakened a sense of attraction she thought she had buried deep within. The auditions concluded, leaving everyone in a whirl of suspense. The judges were torn between Alfred's technical brilliance and Peter's raw talent, and while their hearts were closed off, trying to guard themselves against the storm of emotions, the outcome of the auditions was left hanging in the balance. More than the rivalry, the subtle unspoken tension between Eloise, Alfred and Peter takes centre stage. This is chapter 4 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is chapter 5, Love Triangle Explodes on Stage. Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Chapter 5 of a 6-part story. Chapter 5, Love Triangle Explodes on Stage. The night of the ballet performance arrived, its shadow looming large on the hearts of Eloise, Alfred and Peter. The drama that had been simmering off stage was now ready to burst forth, all eyes and spotlight on the centre stage. Eloise, dressed in a crimson gown, watched the spectacle unfold with a heavy heart. There was Alfred, as poised as a prince, radiating a quiet confidence, and then there was Peter, exuding raw passion, his every move drenched in an irresistible charm. As the music swelled, so did the tension. Alfred danced with a rigid perfection, every step meticulously rehearsed. Eloise watched from the wings, her heart fluttering with every flawless pirouette, every powerful leap. He was her creation, her masterpiece. When it was Peter's turn to take the stage, he moved with a fierce spontaneity, commanding the room with a sultry energy. The music was a mere backdrop to his performance, his body speaking a language all its own. Each leap and pirouette was filled with an electrifying passion that made Eloise's heart skip a beat. The performance ended, and the audience erupted into applause. Eloise found herself drawn to both Alfred and Peter, each representing a different facet of her complicated love. Yet the joy of the night was marred by a harsh reality. Her heart was caught in a battle between two men, the love triangle now out in the open. In the privacy of the dressing room, emotions exploded. Words were exchanged, accusations hurled, tears shed. The love triangle that had been simmering under the surface finally exploded, each one of them feeling the strain of the emotional tug-of-war. The love triangle has come to a head, emotions are in disarray, and hearts are on the line. As the dust settles, it remains to be seen who Eloise will choose, Alfred, her patient lover, or Peter, her fiery ex-lover. This is chapter 5 of a 6-part short story. The next chapter is the final chapter, chapter 6, Spotlights Off, Love Triangle Exposed. Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? Challengers. Is this the real life story that the movie is based on? This is chapter 6, the final chapter of a 6-part short story. Chapter 6, Spotlights Off, Love Triangle Exposed. With the tumultuous performance night behind them, a somber calm set in. The spotlight was off, the curtains closed, but the drama had far from dissipated. The echoes of the love triangle that had exploded on the ballet stage now resonated off stage, threatening to shatter the careful facade Eloise, Alfred and Peter had maintained. Eloise found herself at a crossroads. Alfred, the man she had moulded into a graceful ballet dancer, was now a testament to her hard work and commitment. Their bond was built on a foundation of shared dreams and love that had withstood the trials of time. On the other hand, there was Peter. His return had ignited a spark in her, awakening emotions that she believed had long since been extinguished. She met Alfred first in the quiet solitude of the dance studio. His face was a mix of concern and confusion, his eyes searching hers for answers. They spoke, their words dancing around the truth, their conversation a mirror of their perfectly choreographed ballet, but the veneer of perfection was wearing thin, and in a moment of painful clarity, Eloise confessed her conflicted feelings. Next was Peter. Under the muted stage lights, they rekindled the chemistry they once shared. The air around them was charged with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. They danced together, their bodies moving in a passionate embrace that mirrored their tangled feelings. And to him too, Eloise confessed, her words breaking the silence of the empty auditorium. With her feelings now exposed, Eloise stood in the wake of her confessions, the echoes of her words lingering in the air. The spotlight might have been off, but the implications of her honesty were far-reaching and impossible to ignore. Eloise was left alone in the dance studio, contemplating the consequences of her actions, the dance floor her only solace. This is Chapter 6, the final chapter of a 6-part short story. Please subscribe to the Romance Diaries on YouTube to hear other stories like this one.